Hello and welcome to Diplomata. I'm Francis Suni. Since the beginning of Timor-Leste's independence, the tiny nation has been working hard with Indonesia to heal the wounds caused by the dark past of more than 20 years. A number of important things have been done, including the establishment of the two countries' diplomatic missions in their capital cities. Today, Timor-Leste sees its embassy in Jakarta with a few consulate generals in some other provinces, while Indonesia has its embassy in Dili and a consulate general in Wekusi. In this episode, we'll meet the man, the diplomat who is tasked to strengthen the already existing good relationships between the two neighbors. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for giving us your time to do this interview. Perhaps to start the conversation, I would like to start with your education, your history, and your involvement in the diplomacy.
Well, thank you for coming to the Indonesian Embassy today. I'm pleased to welcome you all, my dear friend from GMN. And I graduated from University of North Sumatra in Medan, my hometown, Sumatra Island. I took a degree on social and politics, and soon after I graduated in '87, I joined the diplomatic corps in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Indonesia.
What made you interested in the diplomatic world? What is so interesting about it?
Well, if I turn the clock back, I remember that when I was a primary student, once the former Minister for Foreign Affairs and Vice President and also former Ambassador of Indonesia to Russia, he was Adam Malik, came to my hometown, and then he was at the time escorted by so many policemen, and while some students along the street moving the flag to welcome him, and then I asked my late father, who is he and what is he doing here? And he told me he is a very important person of Indonesia, represented the country abroad and then tasked by the late President Sukarno to become ambassador in Russia. So wow, at the time I was not thinking about who is and what is diplomat itself, but I say what a very good position he was at the time, that ambassador should be welcomed and escorted by so many people. So that's all. So when I graduated from the university, I went to Jakarta for the first time from my hometown after graduated from the university, and I passed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There was an announcement, enrollment for the new diplomats, and then that's the I was trying to find the information, and they asked me, yes, you have to, if you want to join the ministry to become diplomats, then we have to do this and that paperwork, and then enrollment, and also did some tests at the time.
Were you involved in some kind of activism or politics in campus before you joined?
Oh yes, during the new order, the new era of during Suharto era, I think some, not all, but some of students normally join the youth movement, like from the church and also from some politics. And I was there, not so active, but I know what they are doing. And I think it's very good for young students to join that kind of organization. So they know how to mingle with people with different ideas, different opinion, and how to make a decision. And then in the decision-making process in local politics. That's the very important periods of time I think I experienced during as a student at the University of North Sumatra.
Apart from Toronto, which other countries have you been posted to?
Yes, the second after the wait a minute, I have a very good memory in Toronto during the independence, struggle for independence for Timor-Leste, East Timor at the time. I was doing my promotion program, but sometimes our colleague, our friend from East Timor Allied Network came to our embassy, to the place that we have a promotion. Then sometimes they say free East Timor, and I say, hey, look, my friend, we are all Indonesian. Yeah, I told them at the time, but okay, do your part and I'll do my part too. So, but we are still friends. Yeah? So I know so many people like one of the very prominent Etan actors there, I say, Abe Barreto Suarez. She was the translator of the presidential palace, I think. I met him here when I presented my credential. So very long time after we met him, I left him in Canada in 95, 96. And finally I met him at the presidential palace in 2017. Oh yes, we are hugging and crying each other. We have a very important task at the time. I'm promoting Indonesia and he's promoting the freedom for Timor-Leste. But that's history. Yeah, he became a good friend of mine. And then after that, I returned back to Indonesia for 3 years. I was posted in Hong Kong for 3 years, in 1999 through 2002. And I was one of the diplomat representing Indonesia at that time during the return back of Macau to China. So after that, I was transferred to Guangzhou, China. It was I remember, similarly to what is happening now, yeah, the coronavirus. It was January 15, they announced that there was a SARS. So now I know what is going on there. I experienced it by my family and my Consul General and myself at the time. So I was posted almost 5 years and a half in China and did so many things to my personal valuation that I say I promote the trade, promotion on cultural and tourism. I know, similarly, at the time, the Chinese government didn't send any, for 6 months didn't send any tourists to Southeast Asia, Europe and America. So by the time they announced that the SARS is over, they come to Indonesia because during the SARS era, we don't close door to Chinese tourists at the time. But vice versa, at the time actually the government of China didn't allow their citizens go travel around the world. But Indonesian government at the time didn't close totally the door for them, but they didn't appear. But with this situation, after the SARS was proclaimed over, they sent so many tourists to Indonesia. So I was the one who opened with the Consul General, the new Consulate General in Guangzhou, and then we did promotion, of course, in trade, agriculture, social, and then there is also education program. We sent so many students to China to learn Mandarin at the time.
Your encounter with Timorese in Canada, was that the first time you came across the idea of Timorese struggling for independence? Did you meet?
Yes, of course, because to our understanding and the history that we learned, we know that at the time, from 87 to 92, before I left to Canada, I know that there is no problem for us with Timor at the time, because we are like sisters and brothers, even though there is a demonstration against a demonstration on pro-independence and then pro-Indonesian at the time. But actually, to my personal experience, there is no big problem at that time to my understanding. But not until maybe so many was happening there at the time in Timor-Leste, in Dili. And then I'm lucky. I feel lucky that I finally be posted here to see the history and to prove it by myself and I have to do some historical program. That I have to relocate the cemetery, and I do it by my hand. And I think God sent me to Timor-Leste to do a better work and then to promote better relation between Indonesia and Timor.
So your perspective, in a sense, about Timor-Leste changed when you started to meet the Timorese people in Canada?
Yes. At the time, I didn't realize that finally Timor-Leste will leave us. But for the benefit of the people, of course, in the future, God has disposed. God has disposed. If not somebody disposed the fate of Timor-Leste, but to my personal opinion is the work of the hands of God. So finally, the Pak Habibie give referendum, and then even though at the time actually we are in the middle of negotiation for better relations between Timorese and the central government, there will be autonomy and in the hands of the government, local government. But finally, Pak Habibie also has decided by himself as president to give the chance for referendum. It's become a very historical event for Indonesia and Timor-Leste. We cannot reject it, and we don't say no anymore because Pak Habibie has decided it as a president of Indonesia.
Tell us about the day you heard that you would be posted in Timor-Leste.
Yes, thank you. So after let me tell you something. After I returned back, right before the reform era in Jakarta, 1995, yeah, yes, 95. After I returned back from Canada and then go to China and then after China, I was waiting in Jakarta and then dealing with Africa, and then I was transferred for 4 years and a half in Brazil. I met Timor-Leste diplomats, so many diplomats there, I think 5 or 6 of them, and then we make a very good friendship there. We always did promotion together, and then I was lucky to know so many VVIP coming from Timor-Leste to join the conference in Brazil. So we are mingled each other. And then after that, I was transferred back to Jakarta, and the government, the central government asked me, the minister asked me to be an inspector for Middle East and Africa again. For the second time, I was dealing with Africa, and then I feel that I love it because traveling to a very historical region in Middle East and Africa, so I learned so many things with regard to the trading, agriculture, and tourism. After my tenure as official tenure as inspector in Africa, and then I was appointed by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, assigned to be the ambassador to Timor-Leste. But before, I was asked, maybe informally, I was asked to choose one of the 17 posts, and they say there was Portugal, and there are so many far away in Europe. And I just pointed out number 17. It was, what is it, Timor-Leste? Why don't you choose like in Europe? No. I don't think I can do a lot of things there because I didn't know them. But Timor-Leste, I know the people, I know the country, I know the relations between Indonesia and Timor-Leste right in 20 years after the referendum. I know still a lot of things to do, and we can do it with a good friendship and communication with the people, the leaders of Timor-Leste. We can do a lot of things, and I think Timor-Leste, I can tell you frankly that we need each other. Like we are sister and brother, we share Timor Island. So now as ambassador of Indonesia to Timor-Leste, I know what to do. And I have the program that Indonesian embassy should be the milestone and the very front gate of Indonesian diplomacy in this region. So we have to create and develop better relations, and we have to preserve this very good diplomatic relations. We have no problem at all, even though we still have two unresolved segments in land and maritime border in Oekusi, but I don't think it's a big problem. We have our leaders already agreed in principle to settle it very soon, and we pray for that. So now what I'm doing is that promotion on trade, promotion on investment, tourism. We send also people for training to Bali, and then we hope that in time they graduated from the training, and then they can do something to promote and to sell the richness of Timor-Leste in agriculture, in tourism, in trade. I believe that Timor-Leste has so many things to be promoted, and then for the betterment of the people in the future. Not only oil, but they have also mining, they have also agriculture. So I know what to do actually here. But regardless the situation at this moment, we still have more rooms to improve the good relation between Indonesia and Timor-Leste, between people to people, business to business, and government to government.
Thank you again for being part of the program. What do you do as an ambassador? What do you do on a daily basis in your work?
Well, thank you. That as ambassador, of course, I'm representing the president and the country, and I have to follow the instruction and also the vision and mission of the president on how to deal with the government and every sections of everything that can be considered as prerequisite for the good relations. So I'm promoting the interests of Indonesia. Likewise, I would like to tell you that the vision and mission of the Indonesian diplomacy in Timor-Leste is on the education and capacity building, of course. Of course, also to promote the trade and investment, on how to develop good trade, investment, tourism, social and cultural relation between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Indonesia and Timor-Leste, I think, has been working very closely in the multilateral era and regional and also bilateral. So, with regard to the bilateral relations, what I'm doing here is I have to promote the interests of Indonesia that suitable and compatible with the need of Timor-Leste people and government, of course. With regard to the relation between myself as ambassador and my staff with the all agencies and ministries, we have no problem at all. So we are lucky that we have a very good spirit of good cooperation between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. So we also have a very good relations and cooperation with international agencies like WHO, FAO, JICA, USAID, and also other kinds of agencies that residing in Timor-Leste. And like in agriculture, we did with the same program in Oekusi and under the purview of cooperation between UNDP, JICA and Indonesia. And we also bring some trainers for training for trainers program in Dili, and we bring also some Timorese to Bandung, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, Bali for training with regard to the capacity building. So we don't bring actually US dollar, but we bring capacity building. That's to our experience will be much better. Instead of pouring money in the table or to someone, it's better we bring capacity building. We have expert on it, and we have also trilateral program for the training, like with Indonesia, JICA, and Timor-Leste government, and also under the purview of USAID, AUSAID, UNDP, and almost all international agencies has been in a good cooperation with Indonesia.
What about the TIA, the Timor-Leste, Indonesia, and Australia cooperation? What is happening with that?
Yes. As we all understand that this trilateral, I think, already in place, and I've been involved in two or three meetings, but I'm sorry to say that I missed the previous one in Darwin because I have another engagement in Jakarta. But with regard to the tentative agenda and program, everything already discussed and also come to a very clear end, like the land transportation, air connection, and like how should we bring the tourists to Timor-Leste, and from Australia, from Indonesia, vice versa. And we have a maritime cooperation, and agriculture, and veterinaries. So if you talk about the substance, that what they're talking under the TIA, I think the needs already transferred into a very clear objectives and program. But what we need is the three governments from Timor-Leste, Indonesia, need to do more and scrutinize this program. So how can we bring them to concrete action? That's it. So we don't spend too much time in discussion and debate and then say this and that and then bring some expert, but nothing happened. So I hope the next TIA GT program will bring more a concrete program to this region. As a matter of fact, we know that the three governments of Timor-Leste, Indonesia, and Australia are very keen to see the concrete action of this the program under this TIA GT program.
You also have the PBI, Pusat Budaya Indonesia. Could you please tell me what does PBI do?
Okay, PBI, Pusat Budaya Indonesia, Indonesian Cultural Center. I think this is a concrete action taken by the Indonesian government and Timor-Leste to show the people in the world that we can work together to mingle culturally, and then to make use of this building to promote not only Indonesian culture and arts, but also the cooperation between Indonesia and Timor-Leste as one of the concrete achievement of the Truth and Friendship Committee that already signed by and accepted by the leaders of Indonesia and Timor-Leste. So we would like to see more people to be trained and to improve their capacity building in this building, in this Indonesian cultural center. It's not merely only for dance, language, but we did also training in media, journalists, and banking, telecommunication, and education. And every March and April we have a higher education program in this building, and we invite so many students from every corner of Timor-Leste. We ask them and then to enroll and then find compatible universities for them in Indonesia. We have normally around 39 to 40 universities come from Indonesia, and they promote their program, and then they did interview for scholarship for Timor-Leste students. And this coming March we'll have, by end of March, we hope that we'll bring more, around 40 something universities to attend and join this higher education exhibition.
Timor-Leste has a lot of university students studying in Indonesia. Why does the Indonesian government treat the Timorese students just like the way they treat the Indonesian students in terms of the financial responsibilities? And why is that?
Yes, I think the decision is made by the president and instruct the Minister of Education and Minister of Higher Education to treat all the Timorese students as brother and sister. Cannot be compared to other countries' students like from Japan or Korea and China, but we treat them equal like Indonesian students. And of course, we share the same culture, we share the same region, we speak almost the same language, like Indonesian, and you watch the same movie, of course, TV One, Metro TV, Indosiar, and then you can see the dangdut program, dance and singers in the same channel. So we hope that this condition and IT influence will make the more closer relations between Indonesia, not only at the eastern part of Indonesia, but for the whole countries, of course. So we'd like to welcome all and treat the all Timorese students like sisters and brothers in Indonesia. So I myself personally heard from the Minister of Education said if Timorese students can enroll and then pass the test for the Gajah Mada University of Indonesia, why not? They can come and then, of course, not only go to the private universities, but also to the government universities.
You mentioned capacity building and trade. What else do you do? What else does the Indonesian embassy do in Timor-Leste other than the capacity building and trade and all the activities you have mentioned?
Of course, and if I talk about the ASEAN, let's say ASEAN. ASEAN as a regional grouping that would like to, Indonesia positively support the Timor-Leste enrollment to ASEAN. That's why every time I ask the expert from Jakarta, they are very positive in response to my request, and then even the minister said they keep organizing ASEAN meetings for them, so they should know what to do as ASEAN member. So they know ASEAN prior to the acceptance of Timor-Leste later on, whether in months or years, hopefully not so long time to wait for them to become member of ASEAN. But while waiting for the membership, formally, of course, we have to do our part. I did like a seminar and workshop for ASEAN and government official and students. Every time I have a lecture or let's say talks in the university, I keep telling the university, Undil, UNTL, and Crystal, the students that you have to be ready to become expert on ASEAN later on, because government will not do it by themselves. There will be not enough staff to join all the hundreds of meetings of ASEAN. So one day they will need universities, experts, journalists, and businessmen to become members of delegation for ASEAN under the name of the government of Timor-Leste. So everybody should, even the students, the people, public should support the government of Timor-Leste to become member of ASEAN, because the result later on will be in the hands and for the betterment of progress and development of the whole people of Timor-Leste.
In your view, what is the strongest factor that has enabled the relationship between Timor-Leste and Indonesia? Is it people-to-people relationship or government-to-government relation? What do you think gives that special relationship between Indonesia and Timor-Leste?
Well, as I mentioned just now, people to people already in place. We share the same island. Two countries in one island, they say, that West Timor and East Timor, they share the same language, attitude, cultural customs. So we are united by this assimilation and acculturation. So we share the same atmosphere and emotion in the island, and then people to people, and then G to G, government to government. Of course, so far we are in the pinnacle of the good relation. We have no problem at all. And also business to business. Of course, we know maybe 10 years ago, 80% of the needs for staple food coming from Indonesia. But as the time goes by, and then people will come from China, Malaysia, Thailand, and it's not a big burden for us because as open country and very free country and free economies, people is free to travel to Timor-Leste. It depends on the Timor-Leste how they make use of their incoming businessmen, whether to be a buyer or to be player, or to be the shop owner and businessman owner. And of course, the government should do their part to educate people, businessmen, like Chamber of Commerce, Camaras dos Comercia, industry. Also should do their part to educate people. Not only making money, but they have to train the local production, then open also in small, medium industry. It's very important, not only big industries. And then one thing that I am now telling the Indonesian businessmen, if I previously mentioned, I'm not so happy if businessmen only bring the finished product here, but they have to open their product. Let's say I can bring the CBO crude palm oil here, and then they can open a small fabricant, small industry to create the local made Timor-Leste. We consider the product will be the Timor-Leste product, like soap, sabun, and then the lipstick, and then so many CPO chemical products that can be exported with zero tariff to CPLP, G7 plus, and other countries. So they have to open their eye on this vacancy and opportunities. As ambassador, of course, I am tasked to be the opportunity seeker. So don't bring only finished product to Timor-Leste. Now I also have to support the anti-plastic industry. So what should we do? Like Agua and other companies. Don't bring your plastic here, but you can produce the Agua here and then with glass. And then you educate people how to don't to throw it away in the river, in the very clean beach of Pantai Kelapa and also Cristo Rei. So you have to help them. And that's one of my tasks, along with the Indonesian companies here, like Telkomsel, Mandiri, BRI, Pizza, Pertamina. I tell them, let's do something to educate people not to throw all plastic away. And then ask the Indonesian businessmen not to bring their plastic here, but they have to consider of opening a new industry and local product here. By opening the industry here, they can educate people, and then they can offer more jobs to the job seekers, students. They don't have to think over. It's good to travel to Australia, United Kingdom, Portugal, Korea, but it must be better if they can do something for the country with their expertise.
As the ambassador, how have you found working with the Timorese government?
Well, I have no problem at all. As I told you just now, I have no burden, no question. I have so many good friends from the very lowest rank to the highest rank. And I'm lucky. I feel that I'm blessed to be posted here as ambassador. As I mentioned before, I'm the one who choose this post. And many people ask me, why don't you choose in Europe and let's say United States and maybe another big countries in Asia? No, I'm ready to do more in Timor-Leste because I know Timor-Leste before, and then hopefully I'm blessed to do this very important job given by my president and my minister for foreign affairs. So I'm so glad to be here. I hope I can do my best and of course pray to God, and then I do my best and leave the rest to God. So I hope during my tenure now 2 years and 9 months, I haven't done my best yet actually, but I still a lot of things should be done, and then I'm sure that the government, the people of Timor-Leste also will ready to do it together with me, and of course I have no problem in dealing with businessmen, local people, farmers, head of district, ministers, and another top rank of parties. Zero. So my simple theory here is zero enemy, all friends. That's the key words I think. So we keep zero enemy. I consider no enemy, but all friends. So we can do our job for the betterment of relations between the two countries.
Any challenges you have seen or faced so far?
Well, this is very tricky question. Is about the maybe one things that I hope that in the future, not and in the long run, the government of Timor-Leste should harmonize the systems of work with regard to the regulations. Let's say once Timor-Leste become member of ASEAN, there will be no more excuse. Wait a minute. So you have to harmonize the. You have the law in place, but we have to harmonize. Harmonize the law and regulation, so people coming from abroad will be very happy to do their business here. And of course, with regard to the domestic situation now, I hope that the government will do their best. I cannot comment very far on how should they do, but if I may suggest that I think as the fourth countries, most democratic countries, number one is, they say, United States, number two, India, number three, Indonesia, number four is Timor-Leste. We have a very good democracy. Yeah? We have a very good election. But how to make the result in place for the betterment of the people, we have to leave it to the government. So my expectation, of course, in this situation, I hope that all the leaders and the people of Timor-Leste will do their best to make use of this democracy, a very good democracy, for to create from a strong government. And also finally, of course, the result will be the good economic and make progress for the benefit of the people and welfare of the people of Timor-Leste.
After living and seeing and doing things, a lot of things in Timor-Leste, what do you think Timor-Leste should do more in its effort to become a more developed country? If not politics, what do you see as an opportunity for Timor-Leste?
Well, I've been talking and working very closely with FDCH, Mr. Ismenio, and I think they have done their part, a very good job that they send people for training abroad and then they ask them to come back. And the biggest challenge for the government is to provide jobs, right? So creating jobs is not only the task of the government, but they can provide opportunities in this country, how they make use of international businessmen to provide, if they open their business here, of course, they can provide more jobs for job seekers. So you cannot do it by yourself, you have to do it by international cooperation. You bring businessmen from China, ASEAN countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines. So give them opportunity to do a very good business in a very good atmosphere. That's it. That's why I'm talking about the harmonized system. So no hanky-panky business. and have to get ready. No corruption, of course. Everybody fighting corruption. But if we have a strong government and good law enforcement, people will come. You have opportunities in maritime. Maritime is not touch even a single penny yet, if I can say. It's now abundant and then nobody touch the maritime. While actually we can make money, big money from the maritime fishing and illegal fishing also. We have to fight together with Indonesia and Australia together. So all the fish catch by the fishermen should be for the benefit of the people and the fishermen of Timor-Leste. So mining and energy haven't been touched yet. So only the oil and oil. But oil will go on in maybe 1 or 10 years. But they have to switch off to the agriculture. Even Timor-Leste have to do something with the agriculture. Like Indonesia, we are agriculture country, so we have to preserve. Like what I proposed to the Ministry of Agriculture before. If we can create and open 35,000 hectares of rice field, you don't have to. Timor-Leste doesn't have to import rice for around 350,000 tons. So we can plant it here, we can harvest with the cooperation. We are open for the cooperation with Indonesia, but the question is we don't have water. So we need to build 2 or 3 water dam like in NTT, what President Jokowi has built. And we have now 3 and then 7 to come. So let's make a copy that Timor-Leste can build 2 or 3 water dams, and we open more rice field. It's around 35,000, 40,000, and you have the land for that in Same and Vikeke. So I've been there. I do my observation, then with the make use of the MOU on agriculture, we can do it together. So within 10 years time, Timor-Leste doesn't have to import rice from other countries, including from Indonesia, because he can do it here. The soil is very good, I think, for agriculture. And even though the forestry and mining haven't been touched yet, like maybe gold, silver, zinc, and iron ore. I know Timor-Leste is very rich on it. So, but now we are still concentrating on oil, but while the oil price is up and down, so maybe in 10 years' time we have to switch the program to invest, bring in more investor on mining and agriculture.
This has been a very interesting conversation. Thank you very much once again for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
After hearing from Ambassador Sitorus, let us also hear from some of the embassy's key staff.
Thank you very much for joining the program. To start with, would you please tell us your name and your position in the embassy?
Thank you, Francis. My name is Ahmad Tafib Shah. That's my full name. You can call me Tafib or Pak Tafib. I'm an education attaché in Indonesian Embassy at Delhi. Before I post in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, and just arrived in Delhi a couple of days ago, 3rd February. So this is my second day in Delhi.
In your position, what would you do on a daily basis?
Okay, my daily basis, I help my Excellency Ambassador to serve to the Timorese students know Indonesia. We have a program Bahasa Indonesia for foreign native speaker, we call it BIPA, and we are using the Gedung Pusat Bahasa or culture building in Delhi. And we hope that this facility will help the Timor-Leste students to know about Indonesia and have opportunity to study in Indonesia because we're neighbors. We believe in Indonesia community as well as the Indonesian people. Our neighbor is our brotherhood, our family. So Timor-Leste is border to Indonesia, so we have to help our neighbors. We are not good people if we are not help our neighbor. Our neighbor is our brother. When we have problem, we don't go to our brotherhood, we go to our neighbor.
So, are you working more regularly at the Pusat Budaya Indonesia?
Well, not exactly. We have 50-50. I've one time have to in charge in the embassy, but also in charge with the education, also cultural building in Dili. So this under the responsible of the Ministry of Education, but belong to the Indonesian government. So I might say that I have two offices in Dili, but anywhere it's my office.
What is the role of the ambassador in your work?
He's my boss, actually. He supervises my work. He will comment and order to me whatever I'm doing, and I have to report to him. And I support him because he represents the government. I'm representing the Ministry of Education. But anything I do, I have to support him, and I have to follow his direction because he has good policy. I'm just doing the technical thing to do as my substance work, as well as not only education, I think, but also sport, youth, as well as culture. So that's I might say that my job is very challenging here in Dili, but I'm happy to deal with people in Dili, in Timor-Leste. I'm not feeling like opposite like a foreign country, but I feel like in somewhere in Kuman. Different with I'm staying 2 years in Port Moresby. It's quite different, but I'm feeling home here.
Have you worked with Ambassador Sahat before?
No, this is my first time to work with Ambassador Sahat.
This might be too early to ask, but I'll still ask anyway. What have you found about Dili? You have just arrived, so you have not probably seen much of Timor-Leste, but at least Dili, what have you found? What have you seen different than your previous workplace in Papua New Guinea?
It's scary to tell my previous work in Port Moresby. I feel in Dili, I feel like not in Timor-Leste. I feel like in Kupang, because many people speak Bahasa. When I eat this morning I eat in Tibungsu restaurant. It's a Padangese restaurant. Last night I eat soto, where is the owner is from Surabaya. So I feel like feel secure.
What would you do? What do you think you would be able to do during your post in Timor-Leste?
This is very nice and interesting question there. I'm happy to be in Dili, as I think this is my last post before I get retired. So I'm 55 somewhere. So maybe 2 years I go retired and finish with my career. I'm happy. It's my wish, my hope that I will have something for the others, to serve others. It's my happiness, you know. And whatever I do, I think I will help them, direct them. If I can do something, why not? Well, but we have to proportion. So we need to talk closely and more in a close relation, and then we open then. Open to heart about what is the situation. Don't be shy to tell anything then. Because I told you that, we are neighbors, we are brother. If we are not good brother to your neighbor, then you are not good person.
Halo Pak, apa kabar?
Kabar baik Pak Frans.
Untuk mulai, nama Bapak, posisi dan pekerjaan di Kedutaan Indonesia di Timor Leste.
Nama saya cukup panjang, Eben Rifki Taufan Sitepu. Ya. Saya bekerja di KBRI Dili sebagai atase imigrasi, dan saya sudah 1 tahun 3 bulan kurang lebih. Di sana pekerjaan saya tentu dalam rangka mendukung suksesnya KBRI di bawah kepemimpinan Pak Dubes, Pak Sahat. Saya memberikan pelayanan kepada WNI, ini juga dalam rangka perlindungan WNI, yaitu antara lain pemberian paspor Indonesia, kemudian juga pemberian surat keterangan anak berkewarganegaraan ganda atau affidavit, kemudian juga pemberian visa bagi orang asing, tentu orang asing yang akan masuk di Indonesia dengan tujuan baik dia sekolah, berobat, bahkan bekerja juga. Kami memberikan visa untuk itu. Selain itu juga, karena warga negara Indonesia ini tersebar di 13 distrik di Timor Leste, maka kami juga mengadakan kegiatan sosialisasi keimigrasian. Ini kami juga mengajak petugas imigrasi Timor Leste dengan harapan informasi yang kami berikan dengan imigrasi Timor Leste itu up to date, diterima, dipahami oleh masyarakat Indonesia sampai ke distrik-distrik. Jadi mereka tahu perkembangan keimigrasian, baik keimigrasian Indonesia, juga keimigrasian Timor Leste. Itu antara lain tugas-tugas kami Bapak dalam mendukung Pak Dubes di sana.
Peranan Pak Dubes dalam pekerjaan Pak Eben itu apa?
Ya, tentu peran Pak Dubes sangat besar sekali. Sebagai pimpinan di KBRI, sebagai duta besar, tentu arahan, bimbingan yang terus-menerus diberikan kepada kami, khususnya dalam rangka perlindungan WNI tadi itu, agar setiap pelayanan yang kami berikan benar-benar dapat memuaskan. Karena tentu sebagai petugas pelayanan, tujuan kami adalah memuaskan orang yang dilayani. Saya jadi ingat bahwa di Timor Leste ini juga ada warga negara Indonesia yang tidak mempunyai dokumen atau lebih dikenal undocumented. Cukup banyak. Nah, ini menjadi perhatian kami karena kalau seseorang tidak punya dokumen, artinya kewarganegaraannya tidak dapat diketahui pasti, tentu menjadi beban sebagai seorang pelayan masyarakat seperti kami ini. Apalagi orang-orang ini mengaku sebagai warga negara Indonesia. Tentu ketika mengaku dia sebagai warga negara Indonesia, haruslah orang-orang ini membuktikan bahwa dia punya dokumen. Antara lain yang pasti adalah dia punya paspor Indonesia. Dengan demikian, maka bisa dipastikan bahwa orang tersebut adalah warga negara Indonesia. Beberapa bulan lalu kami bersama konsuler mengundang tim dari Kementerian Hukum dan HAM untuk memverifikasi. Jadi sekitar 271 orang telah diverifikasi dan telah diberi surat keterangan kewarganegaraan Indonesia. Nah, untuk selanjutnya nanti kami akan memberikan paspor. Namun sekarang juga ada sedikit kendala karena orang-orang Indonesia yang sudah punya paspor ini tentu harus punya visa Timor Leste. Nah, kami berharap di sini ada kelonggaran atau kemudahan yang diberikan oleh pemerintah Timor Leste untuk orang-orang yang tinggal di Timor Leste yang saat ini baru kami akan berikan paspor. Kemudian untuk mendapatkan visanya. Perlu diketahui bahwa sebagian besar orang-orang ini adalah yang menikah juga dengan warga negara Timor Leste. Dan setelah diwawancarai, umumnya mereka sebenarnya ingin menjadi warga negara Timor Leste. Nah, ini tentulah kami berharap pemerintah Timor Leste memberikan kemudahan untuk itu. Sehingga mereka dapat tinggal enak di sini, dapat juga bekerja, beraktivitas, nyaman di Timor Leste. Karena memang Timor Leste ini tempat yang nyaman. Saya sendiri merasakan kenyamanan itu. Apalagi kalau kita berada di pantai, maka kita akan mendapatkan ketenangan hati di sana. Itu Pak Frans.
Sesudah bekerja 1 tahun 3 bulan, bagaimana rasanya bekerja dengan seorang dubes seperti Pak Sahat Sitorus?
Oh ya, bekerja dengan Pak Sahat sangat menyenangkan. Karena kita tahu semua Pak Sahat ini seorang yang periang, tapi yang utama adalah mempunyai wawasan yang sangat luas. Jadi ketika kita melakukan komunikasi atau katakanlah meminta pendapat dari beliau, itu beliau mempunyai pendapat yang sangat buat kita itu, oh ini hal baru yang kadang kami belum tahu, Pak Dubes sudah tahu. Jadi banyak pengalaman, banyak hal yang kami dapat dari Pak Dubes yang tentunya menjadi bekal bagi kami untuk dapat bekerja dengan baik, untuk di lapangan kami menjadi tahu apa yang harus kami lakukan. Jadi tentu saya sangat bersyukur di Dili, di Timor Leste ini, bertemu dengan Pak Dubes. Banyak hal baru, pengalaman baru yang akhirnya saya dapat. Itu Pak Frans.
The interviews with the attachés conclude this episode of Diplomata. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the program. I'm Francis Suni, and I'll see you on the next episode of Diplomata. Bye for now.